Welcome home. You're watching RYE Reviews, Bandstand, the new Broadway musical. Thanks for watching RYE Reviews. I saw Bandstand the other night, right off the heels of opening night, and boy, wow, is this show very, very special. Let me tell you something. Um, Before anything, I just have to say, this is Corey Cott's breakout role and breakout show because I've never seen him pour his, somebody pour their heart and soul into a role like he did. Anyway, I digress. This show is a very special show, and the cast and creatives have made sure that the show stayed true to honoring those who served without commercializing them or exposing them like we often unfortunately see today and have seen in the past. Although I felt like Act 2 supported itself on its feet much better than Act 1, there still was some, issues that needed to be worked out, I think, story-wise. Act 2 was definitely the stronger act. There was one great big song in Act 1 that really stood out, and that Love Will Come and Find Me Again by Laura Osnes. That was her breakout number, her show-stopping number, crowd on their feet number. Other than that, Act 1 was a little loosey-goosey, some confusion and some loosely, plot-based holes that needed to be filled. But other than that, I loved it. And Act 2, as I said, was so much better and really, it was really, really great. So this musical tells a story that needs to be told, and Bandstand tells it just like that, just as it needs to be told. I was really impressed with this show, and it's brand new. I didn't know what to expect when, I first heard about it, and it originally ran at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey, which won the 2016 Tony Award for Best Regional Theater. So it had a great running there in 2015, and it was announced it was coming to Broadway in the 2016-2017 season. So let me tell you a little bit about the show. What's neat about it is that the cast actually plays instruments live on stage. They have an orchestra, but Corey Cott, who is the leading man, Donnie Nowitzki, and his 5 other fellow vets, who are played by various people who I'll get to later, they all play instruments live on stage, like they're in an actual jazz band. So that's really cool. That took a lot of training on their end, and that's really neat to see. This is the first time in a while we've seen a Broadway show where they play instruments on stage with the orchestra or without the orchestra in some songs, and that's really pretty cool. So this show is directed by Andy Blankenbuehler, who is best known for the Tony Award-winning choreography in Hamilton. Personally, I felt his style of directing the show was that there was a little too much choreography in the show for me. And what I mean by that is there was, so much dancing that even in scene changes, it was like they were doing dancing in the background, I think, just to cover up the fact that there was a scene change. It was just awkward at times, especially the scene changes happen and they're like, hey, look at me, I'm dancing in the background. So that was my really only complaint with that. But other than that, Andy directs a great show, and choreography-wise, knocks it out of the park once again. So now let me tell you a little bit about the cast. I already started to rant and rave about Corey Cott. He's one of my favorite actors on Broadway this season. Not only is he absolutely handsome and die-hardingly gorgeous, he's also expecting a baby soon, which, congrats to him and his wife. That's very exciting. She's due any minute. But as I was saying, this is his breakout role. He was originally came onto the scene in Newsies, Disney's Newsies. He took over for Jeremy Jordan, and he's had a great career since. He starred in the short-run Broadway musical Gigi and with Vanessa Ann Hudgens, and now he's starring in this show. And as I told you, this will get him a Tony nomination. I hope he wins Best Actor, because I've never seen somebody put so much heart and soul into a role. I mean, when he cried real tears. When he laughed, it was a real laugh. When it was, it sounds so corny to say, but his emotion in this role of Donnie Nowitzki really made you feel the pain and the sorrow and the hurt that these people go through every day on a daily basis. And so, that was, to me, really important, because when there's an actor that can really make you feel that in a show, you already know that the show is going to be really, really good. So, hats off to Corey Cott, and such a great actor. Of course, with all of that comes the next person who I absolutely love and I'm a fan favorite of, Laura Osnes, who was recently most seen as Ella in Cinderella on Broadway. She was she was in South Pacific, and she was originally known as Sandy Dombrowski in Grease, the Broadway musical revival that happened in about 2007-ish. They had the show You're the One That I Want, and she won the competition. So she brings so much emotion to her role, though she doesn't come in until the later part of Act 1. She really could still be potentially nominated for a Tony with this. Her big number, Love Will Come and Find Me Again, is a showstopper, as I was saying, and brings the crowd to their feet. This song is what makes her, is her bread and butter of the whole show, and it's, in true Laura Osnes fashion, a perfect belting number that shows off her belting chops, and boy, does she bring down the house with that. Absolutely stellar, and I'll tell you, I think this show gives us a different look into her and her singing abilities, and makes us look at her a little bit more differently than just a fantasy princess. Absolutely stellar. The fabulous and Tony winner Beth Level was in the show. She starred as Mrs. Adams, who was Laura Osnes' mother. Laura Osnes was, her character's name was Julia Trojan, and Beth Level played her mother, Mrs. Adams. And she was a Tony Award winner, although she didn't have much singing, which I would have liked to have seen more of. She is sweet and caring and compassionate, and such a good role, a good fit for this role. As I said, I wish they wrote more of a role for her. I love Beth Level. I think she's so great. Yeah, that's it. She was awesome. I just, that's my only complaint, is I wish they wrote more songs for her and showed off her singing chops a lot more. But it definitely showed her acting ability a lot better, and that shined through. So now let me talk about the Donny Nova band mates, who were 5 men who made up the Donny Novinsky band originally, then shortened to Donny Nova band. The band consists of 5 members who are played by Alex Bender, Joe Carroll, Brendan James Ellis, James Nathan Hopkins, and Jeff Packard. They are all great and very talented musicians, and you can really feel their pain and suffering not only in their acting but in their music as well. They all play instruments on stage, and they tell their stories through their instruments. So I really, hats off to them, guys. Hats off. So this is such an awesome show, and one of the amazing things about the show is that it partners with a I guess if you would say an initiative, shall you say, not really a charity, but Bandstand partners with Got Your Six, which is an initiative started in early 2015 as a way to challenge industry executives and content creators to craft more thoughtful narratives around veterans and military families. Through this initiative, Got Your Six highlights projects that portray veterans accurately and responsibly. This is yet again just another factor of why the show is so special. Regardless of its faults, this is really special. And they really go out of their way to make sure that veterans' stories are told accurately, that they are represented in the best way possible. And, you know, Corey Cott has even said on numerous occasions in numerous interviews, he's done so much work and so much study in this, and he dedicates his performance to every man and woman who has served for this country. And so the fact that they partnered with Got Your Six initiative is really special to me. It just goes above and beyond for any Broadway show. That's one of the most, I think, special things that a show can do, and is really good. So that is all I have to say about this show, Bandstand. Go see it. It's now at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater on West 45th Street. To learn more about this show, you can go to bandstandbroadway.com to get tickets. I'll tell you, folks, this show is, you know, despite its faults, it's popular, all right. It was about sold out when I went and saw it. It was 2 days after opening. This show is going to be one of those shows that creeps up on you, and before you know it, it's going to be very hard to get tickets for. So go to bandstandbroadway.com, get your tickets now. As I said, this show is going to become very popular, I think, and it's telling a great story that needs to be told. And boy, does Broadway and this production and Corey Cott and Laura Osnes and everybody in this show, the creatives, the cast, do a phenomenal job telling this story. And it's very, very special to watch and very heartwarming. Thank you for watching this episode of RYE Reviews. Be sure you check out my most recent review of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on Broadway and Sunset Boulevard starring Glenn Close. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, be kind to one another.